White letter 15/9/2022, Delhi, BCAS dated E219110 dated 21st of November 2022. In exercise of the power conferred upon DGBCAS, the security clearance in respect of Celebi Airport Aviation Services India Private Limited is hereby revoked with immediate effect in the interest of national security. These issues with the approval of the DGBCAS, and it's signed by the Joint Director Ops Sunil Yadav of the BCAS HQ in New Delhi. So a big development, big announcement. General Pandey is with us in the studio. General Pandey, your thoughts that it's not just the Indus Water Treaty, but the non-kinetic offensive posture for those who are doing dosti with the enemy is also now manifest, especially with Turkey.
Yeah, so Anand, what is very imperative is that in today's world, the war is not only in the kinetic force, in kinetic domain. It's the tools of application of statecraft transcends the entire dime and T lines, you know. You just can't bat with the enemy. And there are continue to start. We can't finance a war against us, right? This is very important, and you know we have discussed this subject on your channel number of times. We have to understand one thing: that how much ever tourism you do, the business you give to Turkish, the Chinese, or such companies, Azerbaijanis, you may love the terrain. They may be very, very cheap to go, but just remember that every visit you make, that money comes back against your own soldiers, against your country, right? It's no time. The trade and terror, trade and animosity cannot go together. And please understand that trade is a very, very important weapon in the hand of the country, which is a growing country. And we are economically resilient. We are a growing economy, and everybody wants a booty in this part of the money which we have. Today, the middle class segment is growing, and it is going. When it's growing, it wants to go out, visit places. So there are a large number of places to visit, which is part of our friends. We can always go there.
Yes.
Why should we give money
not
to
just
our
that,
enemy?
sir. Many are automatically. Ambassador Deepak Vora is there. Please come in, sir. Let's just go on the white room. This is a live frame. Please welcome on the studio into the right stand. Thank you so much for your time. Two amazing gentlemen here, and we're going to have conversation across various matters.
Good to see you.
आइए बैठिए सर प्लीज थैंक यू
ये डिप्लोमेसी और मिलिट्री का मिलन हो रहा था
सर ये डिप्लोमेसी मिलिट्री if they unless they work hand in hand together and if they don't work together Bharat will not have a whole of government approach so right
whole
now
of people approach
whole of people approach we're just talking about the fact that Turkey the tourists 3 lakh tourists who go the total amount of money that we contribute to Turkish tourism and all may not be significant but those 3 lakh people if they decide we will not go to Turkey it's a statement on behalf of Bharat. Now Celebi services their ground clearance has been cancelled by the DGCA. So they have very clearly said you are not welcome anymore in the interest of national security.
Well, first, may I just simply say what a pleasure it is to be with you. I say this दिल की बात करता हूँ PM साहब तो मन की बात करते हैं I say am I right in saying it's an honor to be he's one of our best one of the best in the world sir please take it from me I'm 74 years young and 52 years
belated happy birthday to you
thank you very much I turned 74 yesterday
so
let's get back
to look like that
thank you very much so basically you're so right sir but what I've seen there's a country you've probably heard of it it's called the Maldives there's a Muzu Fuzu character over there and when he started talking nonsense people from India 80% of the I've been there so I've served there 80% of the economy is tourism so when we cancelled the visits he promptly dispatched his information minister to say galti ho gayi maaf kar do mere bhai mere chacha mere uncle mere damad mere sasur. Now, when you kick them in the stomach, what did Billu Bhai Clinton say? It's the economy is stupid. You kick him, he comes to his senses. As far as Turkey is concerned, sir, they've had this time from the Khilafat movement, etc., that when the Muslims of the northwest frontier, Pakistan didn't exist, but they gave money to keep the Ottoman Sultan going. Even Mahatma Gandhi had said things in favor of the Khilafat. So they have this feeling that somehow Pakistan, which didn't exist, even in their school textbooks, they've always supported Turkey, etc., which is arrant nonsense. What I see now happening is that it's an all of people approach. Government will do what it has to, but the people of India have spoken.
Correct.
And that is so heartwarming that you don't mess around with 1.4 billion people. Their heart is in the right place. पहले ये नहीं होता था. हमारा किसी के साथ पंगा होता था तो well government will do something.
Correct.
Now the people are are becoming foreign policy players, which is wonderful.
True.
Foreign policy is not just you and I, sir. It's the people, they want to know.
This also hits home closer to the Erdogan family also, because Celebi services somewhere there is an
daughter's connection is there.
And all the drones that they are selling, that company is owned by his son.
Yeah, so there you go. You know, the daughter is married to a gentleman. This entire company is theirs, right? So it's a family-run business of elites of Erdogan's family, which is controlling. If you are aware, there is a huge movement which just happened about a month back, on issues of corruption when people wanted to investigate the family, right? So the tight control on the radical system which he is following today, of being a very ideological Muslim, which he is, actually throws out. There are different issues which are coming out of the family controlling businesses all over the world, right? So it may hurt, but the issue is that we as a country of 1.4 million need to send a message, right? So this dying cannot work till the time the people are not for this issue, that if you are with the enemy, thank you so much, we aren't coming. It may not hurt them significantly, right? But symbolism of it.
The message is very clear.
This message is very important. And you know, my heart really goes out to the Marble Association of Rajasthan, which, you know, tweeted, they announced, we aren't going to get your marbles, right? There are enough marbles in our country. There are enough places to resource from. Why should we get the marble of the Turkish marble? Can't we live without it?
Let me ask you this. The apple growers, apple sellers are saying, wholesalers, no Turkish apples. The Confederation of Traders is saying no more Turkish mal. You just now said marble traders of Rajasthan are saying no more Turkish marbles. Big salute to all of them. But somewhere, is it also because the government now saying no half measures? I'm not going to, see you fighting against me and still do trade with you. Is that also because there is no half measures from the government?
That is absolutely clear. The message has gone across very, very clearly to the rest of the world. So we don't talk about teaching lessons. We are not school teachers. And those students across the border, they are pretty useless fellows. But the message is very clear. It's an all-of-people approach. Give me a moment and I'll tell you what we are doing. You know, General Saab, we are children of Chanakya.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
My nighttime, daytime, afternoon time reading is Chanakya Niti. Now, what has he said? We are using exactly the tactics he suggests. I call it the quadruple lock. The first lock we used against that Atankistan isolated him diplomatically. Forget Turkey, forget China, a couple of other, and China does it for different reasons. By the way, now you know that it's becoming the Islamic People's Republic of China because they love Pakistan so much. The first thing is the diplomatic isolation. The first lock. The second is the economic lock. Prime Minister ने क्या बोला था कि हाथ में कटोरा देके भीख मांगवाऊंगा, which is happening. So you do it very quietly, very discreetly, but you tell people, look, if you're going to trade with them, you're not trading with me. And where is the equation? It's a no-brainer. You want stuff from me, you stop talking to the fellow. We do it very quietly. The third is the military lock, which we have done very well. And the fourth, sir, is what we call the internal lock, implosion. Now, Balochistan, I believe in the next 2 or 3 days, or if they haven't done it already today, are going to declare independence through a government in exile. That is very significant, that we have broken away, guys. Now we have a government in exile. And I believe that the headquarters of that government in exile will be in Kabul. Because if you remember in 1919, sir, when the First World War was just ending, the first Indian government in exile dedicated to the independence of India, formed by Raja Vishwanath, was in Kabul. Funded by the MA. So the Afghans have no issues with that. Look, my family is half Afghan. My father is from Ghazni. I'm half Pathan, half Sikh. That's a different matter. It's a deadly combination. So what we are seeing today is that this internal implosion, this is going to be the only thing that the language that they will understand. So you can try talking to them, engaging.
We'll talk about the Baloch aspect in a bit.
Surely.
Because we are going to have Aman Mustaqir also join us later through the course of this edition of the Right Stand. So we'll talk about Balochistan in detail. Right now there is another image of another airbase that's come across. So I'd like you to direct your attention there. This is footage that's open source intelligence, OSINT, which Ditreswa has put up. Now this is the Nalia Air Base. So a new image of the Nalia Air Base has come through. This is in Pakistan. So this is saying, it's circulated saying darkness of the soil around the runway has damaged. Now verification of the image reveals that the cloud overhead as the reason. Sorry, the Nalia Air Base in India. Sorry, my
Ours.
sorry, Nalia Air Base in Gujarat. Nalia Air Base in Gujarat. So,
next to Jaisalmer.
Next to Jaisalmer, the Jaisalmer one. Sorry, not in Rajasthan, not Gujarat.
Yeah, but that's the border area there.
Nalia Air Base in Jaisalmer. So this distortion, what they are saying is, this is because of a cloud cover. Now this was being claimed that the Nalia Air Base has been hit, but this is actually a cloud overhead that is causing this. So that's what it's saying. Darkening of soil is being caused by a cloud shadow. Dark areas around the runway caused by, and there is a cloud overhead that's being seen in this satellite image. General Saab, your thoughts that the Pakistanis were claiming, देखो नालिया भी मार दिया, सब dark है.
So all images can be manipulated, right? It's coming so late. This Nalia, which is off in Gujarat, it is not so.
Nalia is
clear.
off Gujarat. No, this is the one which is Bhuj के पास है. That was
So this cloud overhead
it's off Gujarat,
is the reason why the darkness and the shadow is, right? While they may try and claim anything else. So these are what I can make out right now of this thing is pretty much manipulated.
But and the open airfield ko target karke, what's the point? The way the Bharatiya strikes were on the Pakistani air bases, there were 3 installations, only one has been hit because that's where the critical asset was. So that has to be pinpoint. So anywhere all around the open fields doesn't make, if anything is landed, it doesn't seem that something is landed. There's another picture that's come.
When you carry out a strike on an airfield or on the runway, there are measures which every air force has got that it just gets it back within hours together. There are systems and everything is in place. So you strike now and you can get it back ongoing within a couple of hours. So it's not a very great deal to hit on this thing. You have to hit the pieces, the equipment, because placing an AD radar or a missile system or an aircraft takes time. So even if it's splintered, it's a damage. Or an ATC control system. There are a number of assets which are there deployed in an airfield, which are ammunition dumps, right? Storage areas. Those are the fuel dump. These are the places when you carry out your attack, especially the target attack. This is the places where you go. You do not try to destroy an airfield because you require huge quantum of explosives to actually dig it out and make it inoperable for a long time.
Unless it's an intersection like in Sargodha, where it rendered two airstrips inoperable. Neutralized them, and the other thing is when you hit the command center. So if the command center is not there, you can do whatever you want with the planes there, but you can't fly them. So that's another part. There's another picture. The Chinese satellites have released images of Adampur. So let's have a look at that. Now this is the Adampur Air Base, where the Pakistanis claim humne idhar mara udhar mara. PM also went to Adampur only. This is as of 12th of May. 2 days after the Pakistanis claimed that Adampur Air Base has been hit and damaged badly, if you look at it, there is citing an unknown object alleging that there is an S-400 component system on the ground. Now, China released the images dated 12 shows these are actually vehicle tracks. So it's the vehicle tracks that were being used as saying that S-400 system has been damaged, and that S-400 was standing right behind the Prime Minister when he went to Adampur. So around the same time. So this is a Chinese firm saying that there is no damage that's happened. There are other likely, equipment which are lying all over the place. But other than that, there are no fragments of S-400 that are lying there at all. So another lie that is being busted. Do you believe, before I ask you this, do you believe that although Bharat has been slow on the counter, the narrative is now being reset? International narrative?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's democracy between the two of you.
Okay, I will talk of the military.
We hand over to the military.
I'll just say a couple of things. There are people have been wanting us to lead the information campaign. Right. The balance which is important is that when your DGs come out and speak, or your spokesperson come out and speak, they should speak the truth. Right. So while you may have achieved kills, which are beyond, let's say, 100, but you got confirmation only of 25, you need to speak only about 25. Because the moment you speak of 26, the way you are picking the gaps in the narrative, the entire world is going to focus on the 26 and that entire 25 which has happened the right way will go washed away. Right. So that is why you'll find Indian armed forces or the MEA people who come out to speak, they will speak of something which they have got rock solid. Right. The second is talking about specifics in terms of equipment utilized, what has happened on this side or that side, are matter of operational details. Right. That cannot be talked of so openly in a domain. So I think Air Marshal Bharti was asked this question, Air Vice Marshal, and he was very, very up and straightforward on the subject, that when you are into operations, the number of details you divulge, the methodology, and on either side is going to prepare the enemy much more stronger what is going right for him, what is going wrong for him.
Yeah.
Right. So these things have to be debated over a period of time. And the last time which I will try and sum up is that time and again everybody wants, and this is the habit which has become for our country per se, is that when we went for Uri surgical strike, there were no casualties and we came back safe. When we went to Balakot, we succeeded and we came back safe. The perception which is going out, that every time we take out a punch, nothing will happen to you. Right. So this leads to a misbelief and incorrect faith that every time when the juggernaut of Indian Armed Forces is going to roll out, you will have zero casualties and
losses,
which is something wrong, and we must accept something will happen. When you launch 500 drones, 1 or 2 will breach, but does it have a cascading effect? Does it triple our system? Where have you done? What have you achieved in terms of targeting, what they have achieved, and what you have achieved, which is called for somebody to get on his knee and go to Uncle Sam and say, "Ab mujhe bacha lo." So the end result comes out in terms of, it cannot be 060, it will be 6162, right? So unfortunately, we look at
do ke chakkar mein you're forgetting that you won by 4.
What you have achieved. We have to look at the bottom line.
Right.
That every 24 hours, the escalation ladder was controlled by us. Every time there was a symbolism of hitting, selection of targeted, and thereafter broad open satellite pictures, aircraft pictures, the pictures which have been taken by our fighters who have delivered the munitions, all those pictures are there with us, which are firmed up, confirmed and being shown. Which we don't have is being shown by the international media. Right. And even if we have, possibly there's a doubt of talking about it. Let's say number of casualties. We did not speak of the number of casualties for a long time, till the time there was a confirmation.
Right.
When the body bags, when the ambulances were being sent from that side, how do you expect that you bomb a place, within a couple of minutes you get an information that you got 100 number or 112 number or 150 number, right? There it takes time. Intelligence takes time, and when you have to speak on a world forum, when everybody is watching to rebut you, to make you fake, you have to be really
sure, and you got to get your facts right. You got to get your facts right.
So I'm compliments to our DGs who came out and Mr. Saab, who spoke absolutely the truth, correct part.
Yeah, but somewhere there is also this whole conversation about the managing the info war. And now you can't allow the enemy to have a field run, a free run at the time when there is an info war. The other thing is, there is this psychological shift, ambassadors, that has to happen where, oh my God, क्या रफाल उड़ गया? हमारा एक रफाल गया, रफाल कैसे जा सकता? The whole story is got to be उनके 9 air bases उड़ गए, boss. एक रफाल गया नहीं गया, why are you worried about it? But the psyche is, एक मर गया क्या? एक गिर गया क्या? What's happened? So we tend to get stuck there.
I entirely agree with you, and the General Saab has put it across so brilliantly. Nobody can do it better than you do it, sir. Well done, the way you have expressed the actual situation. Sir, what we are trained in diplomacy is that at times, silence is a very powerful weapon. जब खामोश रहते हो और कुछ नहीं कहते, which Donald Trump is understanding now that you say what you want. You say, oh, I had great biryani with my Indian counterpart, whereas actually the Indian counterpart says I had chapati. I'm not saying that we didn't have biryani. I'm not saying that you're a liar, but I'm keeping quiet about that, putting across my point of view. I heard an interview of President Vladimir Putin, who I've met. Said some journalists were saying, but sir, you're losing the narrative, the information narrative, etc., against Ukraine. He said, look, it's a couple of $1 billion I'll have to spend. Why should I? On the ground, I'm winning. And now those same people who were saying one Ukrainian has killed 50 million Russian soldiers, all that kind of nonsense, they've now changed it completely and saying Ukraine is in deep trouble, help, help, help. So my own feelings are what we do, Chanakya's first thing, the 3 pillars he talks about, first is to have patience. Don't react immediately. First watch and see. The second then is strategic deception. Keep the enemy confused. ये कहाँ से मारेगा? ऊपर से आएगा, नीचे से आएगा, इधर से आएगा. So you have movement here, you have, like in boxing, you have a feint. That is the second thing that we did very powerfully. They didn't know what we were going to do when we attacked the terror camps. Even though we had warned them that the military, you better stay out of it, as Dr. S. Jaishankar said. You stay out of it, we are hitting the terror camp. But they were not sure what we were going to do. And the final then is strategic destruction, which we have indulged in. So I believe that winning the information, what people talk about it because this is the age of social media and so on, you will win it in any case, is the results on the ground that are very, very important.
Right.
Chanakya also said one thing, sir, which I'll conclude with that. He said, a king has to be trusted by his people, which means he has to speak the truth. If he tells a lie, the people will. Trust is the basis of all international relations, and a king's army takes care of the external enemies. But he must have a very strong internal security system to take care of the internal opponents. Now, this is Chanakya Niti. This is what we are trying to do.
Perfect, absolutely.
So Anand, just a point, when you talk of information warfare, the narrative control is all about perception management. Whom should our government speak to first?
Right.
Is it their own people who should believe in him? Or believe in the present government and the armed forces? Or should we target the Pakistanis? Right. Those people who have been denied even food, basics, right? They continue to believe in their supremacy, right? Their mind is so washed that you may do anything, right? They will come out on tops to believe that they are right, they are the winners. So when 93,000 prisoners were handed over to them back in the evidence of the entire world, do you think the Pakistanis believe that 93,000 prisoners were there in 1971? So there is a different mindset in that place. So I actually don't look at Pakistan to win an information warfare. One has to look at your people have to believe, as Deepak Saab has said so very eloquently. The second is the world needs to believe in you. Right?
Correct.
And in the world also, there are 2 segments. There's a deep state segment. I think we discussed on the subject earlier on. They will know, but there is an issue of a military industrial complex. Every time when you say that your systems have succeeded, which are Russian, which are indigenous, they come into a competition with their systems, which are the Turkish systems are not totally Turkish,
American
system.
or Chinese.
They are lot of, correct. So there will be the entire narrative try to fail you that your systems have succeeded. The bottom line is that to carry out, and trust me, for last 5-6 years I have been in positions where I have done this 1,000 times. When you carry out strike in those number of airfields in one night, you breach the systems at will and carry out credible hits. I am telling you, it is success all the way. I have war gamed. We did not trust any system. I was always speculative. I was suspicious of the possibilities of that kind of a supremacy which we can achieve, especially because we were made to believe that the systems which West has given, the systems which the Chinese have given
are far superior,
8 to 10 feet tall and ours are pygmy because ours are made in India stuff, or they are made in by DRDO, or we may talk of anything, but today in the 4 days war, I have been watching it very, very clearly. I have not slept because my faith has started being proven, has been actually re-established. So let's talk of it. Why are we not talking of successes? Why are we talking of some negatives which may have taken or not taken?
We're talking of the successes, but sometimes what happens is it's a human tendency to hold on and latch on to the negatives, or somewhere you're conditioned to only focus on the negatives and forget the positives.
And I'll request sir to talk about one thing, and I think I've spoken here again. This colonial legacy, to try and have faith in the white man's narrative, till how long are we going to hold on? The brown man is going to keep on sticking. New York Times, right?
Yeah.
So it is now being flashed. But I look at the headline of New York Times. It is equating India and Pakistan.
They're trying to hyphenate both Bharat and Pakistan.
But in the entire content, they're talking of that how India has won.
Yeah.
But now we are talking that Americans have said, and therefore we are winners.
Yeah, WAPO ne bola to sahi hoga, NYT says to sahi hoga, let John Spencer says it, then it's right. If Bharatiya government says, our DGMOs say, and we are putting out the images, that's not right.
We are not wanting to believe. So how sad that can be? When are we going to get out of that 80 years of independence and come out of our own?
I join issue with you on this, sir.
General Sahab, I would say that it is changing. It's changing phenomenally, particularly amongst our youngsters. They don't believe this worn-out narrative anymore. Remember that for 200 years, our destiny was decided by an outside power. 200 years they ruled over us. 80 years they've been gone. But I believe that people in the last 20, 50, 30 years, thanks to outstanding military performance, thanks to our technology, thanks to levels of education, they are beginning to have faith in the India story. I see this, sir. I've spoken to over 30 million kids across the country. I travel. We talk about informing India, telling them what is really happening. And the only request we make and which they begin to understand is कि भारत को गोरे की नजर से मत देखो, भारत को भारत की नजर से देखो. And now I see I see the self-confidence in these kids. Now I'll tell you something, sir. You know, I was coming, sir, to your show, and the cab driver who was bringing me here, he asked कि आप क्या करते हैं? I said मैं भारत का राजदूत हूँ. कहाँ गए? अच्छा, we were having a very nice conversation. Then he says, साहब एक काम करिएगा, टर्की का सामान मत खरीदिए. Now you see what all the people approached. The guy doesn't even know what we are buying from Turkey, but he says उनके साथ मत, don't have dealings with him.
जो दुश्मन का साथ दे वो भी दुश्मन. So I think that sunk into the head of the people saying that let's not
I think the younger lot, Prime Minister does all these hackathons, talks to young people. Well, you know, sir, even at the risk of being said that I blindly trust the man, I do, because he's probably the best leader we've had in several centuries. Fact is, we have a person who leads from the front, who speaks his mind. And I'm very proud. You know, sir, there is this thing called Morning Consult. You've heard about it in the United States. Last 3 years, they've been consistently ranking Narendra Bhai Damodar Das Modi as the world's most popular leader. By a large margin. They say this guy is trusted by his people, which is true. Of course, there are politicians who will say all kinds of funny things. The reality is, 21 countries have given him their highest national honor, General Saab. 8 of them are Islamic countries. See how India is preferred now in the Islamic world to, what is that country's name? Our neighbor who keeps fighting with us? Atakistan, something like that. Yeah, Atakistan.
Terror state.
Yeah, something terroristan, something like that.
Terror state.
So this is the new narrative. Finally, sir, let me just say, when Billu Bhai Clinton, I know him well, when he was asked, why should we vote for you? You know, in the 90s when he was fighting his election, the punchline was, it's the economy, stupid. So ultimately, this man, and of course people before him and others in civil servant military, we've delivered on the economy, but the 4th largest economy in the world. This is the purchasing power. Sir, we were talking about our tourists not going to Turkey, tourists not going to Maldives. They are going because they have the money to spend.
Correct. 3.5 lakh tourists to Turkey is not a small number at all. But now, gentlemen, let's have some reason to smile. Who's that leader and what they try to do? They try to copy Prime Minister Narendra Modi and do a hack job of it. So let's break it down picture by picture. After Pakistan was pummeled, Bharat's precision strikes, Shehbaz Sharif tries to do an Adampur and tries to do a PM Modi at Adampur. So what does he do? He goes to the Pasrur cantonment in Sialkot. On Wednesday, hours after PM Modi visited the Adampur Air Base, crushing Pakistan's propaganda. Sharif tried to copy Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and this is what, it's a poor attempt. Now look at this. First of all, Prime Minister Narendra Modi lands at Adampur in a Hercules aircraft, showcasing how the Adampur Air Base has seen no damage at all. The runway is operational. I am landing here. There were no visuals of Shehbaz Sharif landing at the airstrip. Clear proof that something was wrong, and it didn't even look like a proper Pasrur. He's gone to a cantonment. He's not even gone to a proper base. And look at that. Those are gypsies we use in our wildlife sanctuaries. Those are the kind of vehicles that we use in our wildlife sanctuaries. So that's the first part.
And they were looking upwards, you know.
They're looking.
Actually, I tweeted. I just couldn't help it when I watched this thing. He's unable to walk. You know, you want to copy somebody. At least you need to practice. He was looking dwarfed by Asim Munir, who was actually totally uncomfortable to let him lead.
Steering, who had the steering? So, who was driving the gypsy or driving Pakistan? That's the question that many were asking with Asim Munir on the wheel.
Who's driving Pakistan mad? Is that the question?
However it is.
And
that is for you to add the suffixes. I'm not getting into that.
Unable to walk. The beauty is that he is thrown every responsibility of this thing onto the shoulders or on the feet of Asim Munir.
Yeah.
There you
Have you
are.
heard?
That's dangerous for Munir, for
Very
Mad Mullah
dangerous.
Munir.
He just
Now,
said.
now there is also, let's look at the next set of pictures. The next set of pictures, this is where Prime Minister is. The MiGs are behind, the S-400 is behind. Look what is behind these guys. Tent lagawa, so they put out tents. And after the tents, the next one that is shown there are some flexes. These flexes in our local functions at back on the backyard in our mohalla ka function, there are better flexes that are put than the flexes that are put there. So what are they trying to do? The PM was wearing the Western Command 8-wing Adampur Air Base ka cap. This guy is wearing some designer cap. He's so uncomfortable standing there, and what are they standing on top of? They're standing on top of a camouflage rusty tank. There were no tanks in this Operation Sindoor. Why is he standing on top of a tank?
What else will he stand on?
And interestingly, General Pandey, Sialkot is 230 kilometers from Islamabad. Noor Khan is 17 kilometers from Islamabad. It's just 6 kilometers from Rawalpindi. Both Asim Munir and Shehbaz Sharif don't go to Noor Khan. They have come to a cantonment in Sialkot to show the forces are with you. What would you say to this?
So it is actually, when you say information war, that is where they are losing the plot, right? They've already, actually the body language, when you watch the body language, it's very clear they have, the body language through these 3 to 4 days of the defense minister.
Social media is saying this is a Gucci or a Louis Vuitton or a top band cap that Shehbaz Sharif is wearing.
That IMF loan.
The other day, some top, one of these guys who's briefing from the Pakistanis, he was wearing a Rolex or something like that, which is about 18 lakh rupees in the market, and they were doing the
IMF loan. Thank you so much.
The property prices are going up in London.
Yeah. So that is one part, what you said, that they are losing, they've lost. We believe that they are winning. But the fact of the matter is that they started losing the first time when they got attacked in Bahawalpur and Muridke, they lost the plot. The briefings which have come out from their DGs or from their DG ISPR was very, very indicative that they are shaken badly. But imagine today, we have not talked of the Raksha Mantri landing at Srinagar.
Raksha Mantri was in BB cantonment.
Not only he's landed at the airfield, he's met the people. So that was also one very, very primary target. Our flights have started moving to all the bases which have stopped, right? So these are very, very important indicators that these airfields, which are a couple of, just about 20, 30, maybe 50 kilometers from LC or IB, they're all functional.
They're all functional. So
the civilians are going
what they landed where and what they're claiming all gets busted. But this was the funniest part. You're at a cantonment. If everything is already, you show why are you putting a flex behind a tank and that doesn't even cover the tank and look at this picture. It's hilarious to see such a picture where they put some children and then they've said, look at this. Ek taraf S-400 khada, dusri taraf ye patla tukda, thin thing of flex is standing there. And they have a tank on which he's standing very uncomfortably, and they have camouflaged the tank. For what? To hide the rust markings there, and there was a guy standing with a stick at the bottom of the tank. All those pictures, and people are having a field day. Pakistanis themselves are trolling this entire act. But you talked about the IMF money, Ambassador Saab and General. These are visuals of Pak Minister Rana Tanveer. Ahmad Mustiqan is also with us, Baloch activist. Ahmad, namaste. Just taking our viewers through this development and then we'll come to the Baloch part of it. See, this is Rana Tanveer Hussain. He is seen with terrorist Mohammad Iqbal Hashmi. This is on camera.
On camera.
On camera, the Pak government's promise to a terrorist. And please listen to it carefully. Who he says has agreed to rebuild Muridke, the Lashkar's base. Listen to this, please.
आसम अली साहब जनरल साहब वो कहते हैं हम खुद इसको दोबारा रिकंस्ट्रक्ट करेंगे मैं आपको और साथ ही उनकी जो फैमिली है जो शहीद हैं या जख्मी हैं उनको भी उनको पूरा लुक आफ्टर किया जाएगा उनके फैमिली को बच्चों को
So Pak government minister is saying कि general साहब ने कहा है कि आपका पूरा बनवा देंगे. This is what Rana Tanveer Hussain is saying, and this guy, he's proscribed. He's in the list of people that you should not do business with. There are advisories against him. He was seen with Zakir Naik. He's been seen with multiple hardcore Islamists, and he's a serious Lashkar commander, and also very closely works on with the Jamaat ud Dawa. Ambassador Saab.
So who's ever accused those chaps of being intelligent? The Pakistanis. What are they doing? You know, there's a fellow who masquerades as their foreign minister or deputy prime minister. He's related somehow to that badmash who calls himself Sharif. What did he say? कई देशों से, you know, on that national resistance front, कितने देशों के मुझे phone आए? I said nothing doing. Nothing doing about what? Why are you so worried if we are going to name an organization? Now it is going to be named. So these guys expose themselves. I don't think they understand. See, the basis, General Saab will tell you, the basis of comprehensive national power has to be confidence.
Yeah.
And the basis of comprehensive national fragility has to be confusion. We are seeing this today. Now, sir, give me a moment, General Saab, this is something that might interest you. When I was posted in the United States, I've studied in India, but I used to attend some lectures by a tremendous chap called Robert Merton, Law of Unintended Consequences. You take a purposive action, but the consequences can be other than what you have expected or in addition to. Now, 3 African countries, sir, where I'm privileged to serve as special advisor, 2, actually 1.5, 1 minister and 1 official call, so I say 1.5. Ambassador, can you tell us a little more about the BrahMos? So now they want to know what the BrahMos is all about. See, this is going to be a tremendous benefit. I'm quite sure that we'll be seeing high fives in Vietnam and Philippines and Indonesia.
They've already ordered for a fresh
Thank you very much. And Armenia, where I was your ambassador. Again, high five. We want the BrahMos. So they know that now we have a weapon that is reliable, that is affordable, and that is the best in the world. And then they've also been asking about how we managed to bring down that swarm of drones. They're looking at Akashti. So this is even I didn't know the capability of the BrahMos. It had never been tested. I didn't know the capability of the Akashti. But today, wow, from 6'2", I stand 6 feet 8 inches tall.
Yeah, and our caller is a little up. Now, on the meantime, there is also big news, other news coming through. Ahmed Mustikar is joining us. Ambassador Deepak Vora spoke about the Baloch aspect. Now, it's a CNN News 18 exclusive. Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us this detail that according to intel sources, the Baloch are hopeful that after Bharat's victory in Operation Sindoor, the Baloch Liberation Army has appealed to Bharat for a diplomatic and material support. The Baloch are saying they want to fight against Pakistan's state-sponsored terrorism and occupation. Baloch leaders like Mir Yar Baloch have publicly declared independence. Pakistan facing serious backlash in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Sindh also. But Ahmed Mustikar, is there a buzz? A fly on the wall is telling us here on the right stand that soon the Baloch are going to call for independence or their own government in exile. Is that true?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me to this talk. I will first of all please like to share with you, this is my main theme these days, so bear with me. This Asim Munir says that his country was created in the name of Kalama. Well, Mr. Jinnah did not know how to say the Kalama. And Mr. Jinnah was the big crook. He had incest with his sister. Please broadcast this fact. This should not be shied by. This was a crook. He came to Karachi and he took over the best mansion in Karachi. See, my friend, my grandfather also built a great mansion in Karachi, but the best mansion in Karachi was owned by a Marwari businessman, Shri Ratan Mohata. And this guy came in, he had stayed at that palace before partition because Mohata was his client. And as soon as partition happened, he said, this palace now belongs to me. Shri Ratan Mohata, dejected, broken-hearted, he had built that place for his beautiful wife Saraswati. And he left for India, never to come back. And this is the same place where Ayub Khan sent his men to throttle Fatima Jinnah 20 years later, July 1967. These facts, this Asim Munir, the slum dog from Hassan Dairy in Rawalpindi, he is trying to become a super Tarzan of the Muslim world. These 4 districts of Punjab, Attak, Chakwal, Jhelum, Rawalpindi, these Punjabi jihadists, they think they are going to subjugate the entire world. They challenged us, the Baloch, that we cannot fight them for 10 generations. They are living in a fool's paradise. We are determined when they set foot on our land, we are going to send them to heaven so they have their enjoyment with the Huris and Gilmans. They've got no space on our soil. I will draw your attention to the request Baloch Ho Chi Minh Dr. Allah Nazar made 3 days ago. He requested India to please give the 93,000 guns that these Pakistani cowards surrendered in Dhaka to the Baloch, and we are going to teach them a lesson. This is the appeal from Dr. Allah Nazar Baloch.
But Mr.
The Baloch Liberation Front,
the
Baloch Liberation Front has launched Operation Hero. Operation Hero means Black Storm, and there's no stopping. I don't know about Mir Jan. I don't know who he is, but I hope if he is owned by a genuine political party or a group, he would be more than welcome whatever he's saying.
But
honestly,
Mr. Mustikar, one of the issues, say Balochistan is about 48% of Pakistan, and if the Balochistan, if Baloch are able to organize, then there is a big reason why the entire world, including entities like America and China, may look beyond this Punjabi Sunni Muslim dominated Pakistan polity and the military establishment. But the question is that the Baloch have not been able to organize themselves. There is too much of internecine fighting between the various tribes, and them to organize collectively, come as one single face as Balochistan and as Baloch has not happened since 1948. That's the argument. So when are the tribes coming together, settling aside their own individual differences?
That I can assure you, right? I can assure you. See, the Baloch notables in Sindh, okay, they met at my family house in Karachi. And we unanimously rejected the idea of Pakistan. My uncle was named the first ambassador of Balochistan to Pakistan. We know the history of Balochistan very well. Baloch tribes, it's not a matter of tribe. I can assure you this was the question that you are asking me.
Yeah.
I had the same question. I'm now in the United States for the last 25 years. And I asked my friends, what do we do about this situation? They have told me, they have assured me that the Baloch Liberation Army and the Baloch Liberation Front have total control. You see, the Pakistani soldiers have 4 hours during daylight. Otherwise, the rule is in the hands of the Baloch Liberation Army and the Baloch Liberation Front. My salutes to them. They are the bravest sons and daughters of Balochistan. And I will say, by extension, they are also the bravest sons and daughters of Mother India. Mother India has looked upon us as if we were their, distant relatives. We are not like that. Please see, we have got the precious metals, we have got rare minerals, we have got ports. Why should China and America come there? You are our cousins, you are our brothers, we share the same heritage. Why should the jihadi generals use our resources to attack you? Doesn't make sense. Please support us all the way. We are the best asset India has got to make this century the Indian century.
Right.
It will become an Indian century.
Right. Ambassador Saab?
Thank you, sir.
I've just heard what you've said, sir. And I assure you on behalf of as many Indians as I can that we are solidly with you. We know that Kalat was taken by treachery. We know that the fellow who argued before the Cripps mission that Balochistan, after when India became independent, should follow its own path. That fellow was a chap called Fraude-Azam, not Fraude-Azam, whatever Azam he was. Jinnah chap. He was the fellow who argued on your behalf. And then later he took you by deceit and treachery, which is their national thing. Let me assure you, sir, and I say this with the full sense of responsibility. We support you blindly, sir. We support you totally. We trust you. You can count on the support of the people of India. And I personally, as an ambassador with 52 years in diplomacy, if there's anything I can do at a personal level, I promise you, sir, I will do it.
But this is the other part. One will, should India officially look at supporting Balochistan, but the other argument is, General Saab, that the Baloch themselves have not been able to organize. There is no collective, united face of the Baloch. There are all splintered groups. Everybody is talking the same thing, but each believes the other is supreme, and they are also divided, perhaps their own tribal moorings.
But I think just about a few months back, they had a meeting together, and they came together to a conclusion that they need to fight this fight together. So right now they have got an umbrella organization, and they are quite united in their fight. We also need to try and explain to the world that, like the tribal areas of Pakistan towards the northwest, the Baloches are themselves in a large span. They are quite different people. You know, small this thing. They are not something like Punjabis of Punjab that they can be tied to one entity. And why should that be held against them? When you look at other countries in the Gulf, right, they also have large number of tribes which function, and thereafter they come together to rule or have a state for themselves. So this very facet to say that there are large number of tribes, each one feels different from other or stronger to other, but there is a large strand for which they are similar, and they are very, very dissimilar to Sindhis and Punjabis. So this dissimilarity, unlike what is there in India, you know, there is not a correct line where you can draw that one province is totally dissimilar to the other province. Baloches have got a total distinct culture, language, the way they live, the way they behave, the faith itself. You know, it is not, it's quite different to Pak Punjab. So this dissimilarity itself is a cause to give them an opportunity to live, live differently.
You look at it as dissimilarity being turned into a strength, as an opportunity, and it should not be looked like a weakness. But Mr. Mustikar, that's the thing. The Baloch have not been able to organize themselves as a unit because of this dissimilarity. In terms of who takes the lead, and it's been easy to splinter the Baloch. That's the argument. And the Baloch themselves need to have to organize themselves, show a united front for any nation, for anybody to think about whatever their causes and their reason for claiming being occupied since 1948.
So I will
draw your attention
on behalf of the Baloches.
I will draw your attention.
Look at in Afghanistan, right? The Taliban is not one strand. They are collection of number of tribes which have come together. Until unless you don't give Balochis a chance to come together, because this fraction is not only being led by the Pakistanis, there are other players involved. And the moment they come together and allow them to be together, I'm sorry, I took your time off. You can just
yes, Mr. Mustikar, and then final word from Ambassador Vohra.
See, sir, I will please correct you. The situation has changed.
Okay.
In Balochistan, all the Baloch tribe have one leader now. In fact, two leaders. One is Dr. Maharang Baloch. Dr. Maharang Baloch has been accepted by all the people of Balochistan. You see, she might become the first woman founder of any independent country with the right support. Okay? And when I say with the right support, I don't mean the CIA or MI6. These CIA and MI6 are the creators of Pakistan and sustainers of Pakistan to this day. I mean the people of India. We rely on their support. Please, we have a leadership. Dr. Maharang Baloch is our leader. Sardar Akhtar Mangal, the former Chief Minister of Balochistan. No Pakistani politician can stand and directly challenge the army chief, who's like Hitler.
Right.
Asim Munir, he's a Hitler of Pakistan. He's the street juggler.
Right.
And the tamed monkeys are Shehbaz Sharif and Asif Zardari. But our leader, Akhtar Mangal, you can see his videos.
Right.
He's directly challenging Asim Munir. Maharang Baloch is in jail for now more than 2 months. The other woman leaders, Gulzadi Baloch, Bibi Baloch, we have leadership, sir.
Okay.
Please don't say that we are not united.
Okay.
When the enemy is on your head, we unite. This is our history. And the enemy is in our homes. They are taking our youngsters. You see, even non-political people, they just pick them, torture them, kill them, dump their bodies. We are all united.
Right.
These bodies have united us.
Right. Fair
We
point.
just need some help. Please just release the guns.
The armed support, help, etc., whether Bharat will do or not, nobody knows. That's Bharat's position, the government's position to take, and there are also multiple factors. But the fact that Baloch cause, Baloch people, and the atrocities being committed on the Baloch can be highlighted on Bharatiya media. One of those platforms will be here on the right stand, and that is a personal assurance that we can give you that we are here to support your struggle in the human way possible in terms of what's being done. The rest is beyond our control. Professor Max Abrams is also with us. Professor Max Abrams, thank you. Thank you for your time. Your thoughts on how you see this entire issue between Bharat and Pakistan moving forward. And if you want to look back on Operation Sindoor and Bharat's position that it's not against the state of Pakistan, but against terror and its infrastructure, that Operation Sindoor was waged post the Pahalgam massacre. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that India did a really good job. It was in a tough position because what it needed to do was restore deterrence and to demonstrate to Pakistan that Pakistan would be held to account for terrorist attacks against civilians. India needed to attract the terrorists, to wear them down, to take out their leaders, to strike their camps. India also needed to demonstrate to Pakistan that there would be costs to Pakistan itself for sponsoring terrorism. But at the same time, India needed to demonstrate not just resolve and capability, but also a measure of restraint in order to show that India could strike the camps, but not, cause unnecessary harm to the Pakistani population, and also to be mindful that Pakistan is a nuclear power and not to go too far so as to spark some kind of spiral out of control. And so I think that India very successfully struck this difficult balance.
But do you believe that a rogue state like Pakistan deserves to control nuclear arsenal? There's an appeal made by the Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh that the IAEA should take control of Pak nuclear assets.
It would obviously be better for Indian security and even international security if Pakistan did not have nuclear weapons. But the reality is that the horse is out of the barn. I don't foresee a realistic scenario where Pakistan gives up its nukes.
But should Bharat continue to exercise non-kinetic offensive measures to keep Pakistan in check, like holding the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, not indulging in direct trade, to ensure there is a punitive, action continuously, even though it's non-kinetic or non-military?
Well, I think that this will depend on Pakistani behavior. If there are more, terrorist attacks against India, I think that India is correct to elevate the forcefulness of its response. If you look at the terrorist attacks against India, say 2008, 2019, 2025, most recently on April 22nd, you can see a clear trajectory. The Indian response has gotten firmer and firmer. It's not clear whether that's sufficient to deter Pakistan, but I agree with this basic trajectory, which is that India needs to respond proportionately in such a way as to really communicate to Pakistan that it cannot continue to sponsor these offensive operations against India. And yes, the nature of the Indian response will be not just kinetic, but other coercive leverage as well. And I think that all of that is fair play until Indians, including in Kashmir, are safe.
Right. Professor Max Abrams, thank you for your thoughts. So I've got to wind up. Yes, General Pandey, you were making a point.
Very quick points. This about the nuclear assets being under control of international organizations. Please understand that Iran, which is not technically even a nuclear state, you got streams of sanctions against this country. You want to have supervision on this country, which may be supporting groups like Hamas and Hezbollah and a variety of stuff. But you have a duality in Pakistan, which technically is a nuclear state, which is openly supports terrorist organizations, which is known to the Western powers. Why should not their assets be under supervision?
True. Right. Okay, gentlemen, I'm taking your time and I'm going to ask you to be back here again on Friday because we're going to take this thread forward. That's what we're going to do. I have to wind up because I didn't realize we've already completed 60 minutes on the show. I have 2 minutes over.
Ajodi, which means freedom for Balochistan.
Well, you can say that. You're welcome to say that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Great fighting. They got good control.
Co-presented by. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
To the reports that were doing the rounds earlier about India hitting Kirana Hills in Pakistan, which remember houses their nuclear weaponry as well. Now, the global nuclear watchdog, International Atomic Energy Agency, which is popularly known as the IAEA, has said that there has been no radiation leak from any nuclear facility in Pakistan after the escalated military engagement with India. This is in response to a query on whether any nuclear incident or spill has been brought to the notice of the IAEA's Incident and Emergency Center. India had earlier denied hitting Kirana Hills in Pakistan, which allegedly houses Pakistan's nukes. I go back to Siddhant on that story. Siddhant, all the wagging tongues finally put to rest?
Well, yes, Akanksha. It looks like after the statement from the nuclear watchdog, perhaps I think all this chatter and rumor around India hitting Kirana Hills, perhaps where Pakistan's nuclear arsenal have been kept. Perhaps the rumor and chatter will be put to an end, Akanksha. In fact, since 10th of May, there was chatter on social media platforms that India has hit Kirana Hills and there is a radioactive. There could be a possibility of a radioactive leak in that particular area. In fact, an Egyptian plane perhaps has landed near to the Kirana Hills. Perhaps it was assumed that that plane has been sent to see whether there is a leak of a radioactive substance to do the assessment. This plane has come, but now since the nuclear watchdog has said that no leakage has taken place in that particular area and perhaps has denied any reports of any nuclear site being hit by the Indian Armed Forces. In fact, Akanksha, on the very first day, Air Marshal Bharti also made it very clear that we don't know what is there in Kirana Hills, but we have not hit that site. So India made its position very clear, and now the international watchdog, nuclear watchdog, is also perhaps saying something on the similar lines.
And when the IAEA says that, this means that the matter has now been globally put to rest. Glad, Siddhant, that you mentioned what Air Marshal A.K. Bharti had to say, because let's play out his reaction when he was the first one to dismiss all of those rumors. Let's listen in to what Air Marshal A.K. Bharti said.
Thank you for telling us that Kirana Hill houses some nuclear installation. We did not know about it. Okay. And we've not hit Kirana Hills, whatever is there. Okay. I did not brief in my briefing yesterday.
All right. I go back to Siddhant on that note. Siddhant, of course, it was peppered with a bit of sarcasm when he had responded to that query. But I think what's most important right now is to indicate that the IAEA, which is the global nuclear watchdog, when it steps in and declares that there has been no radioactive leak so far. That also lays to rest all of those reports that were doing the rounds, that perhaps there was a US intervention which was being sought, perhaps there was a Chinese intervention that was being sought, as you rightly highlighted, that there's been a lot of chatter ever since and panic on both sides of the border.
That's right, Akanksha. And in fact, there was also an attempt to project India in a bad light, that India is not a responsible country. India has hit a very sensitive site in Pakistan, and there was an attempt on social media perhaps to frame India. When Air Marshal Bharti made it very clear on the first day that India has not hit Kirana Hills, and in fact he said that we also don't know what is there. So there where Indian Armed Forces made their position clear that they have not hit Kirana Hills, and they also don't know what is present there. But despite that, there was a lot of chatter. In fact, there was this Egyptian plane which landed near Kirana Hills. Perhaps it was assumed that that plane has been sent by United States to see whether there is a leak of any radioactive substance, etc., were being talked about. Now, since IAEA has come up with a clarification, perhaps as you rightly said, that this would put an end to the global chatter around India hitting.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. A week after Operation Sindoor, Pakistan is coming to terms with the real damage caused to its assets. Global media organizations are also echoing what India has been claiming all along. Pakistan's runways, hangars, Air Force buildings at some of its premier air bases have been hit. At least 6 bases have been rendered unusable. Some of these bases have been as deep as 100 miles inside Pakistan. India's message during Operation Sindoor, subsequently when the escalation happened on the 9th and the 10th, and even today, a week after all of this has happened and the dust is slowly settling, the goal is simple: to dismantle terror, and that goal has been achieved. Over 100 terrorists have been killed in those 9 terror locations that were targeted. Today, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar sent a strong message to Pakistan, which has been vying for global attention. Jaishankar has drawn a line in the sand. If at all there is going to be talks with Pakistan, it's going to be bilateral, there will be no third-party mediation, and nothing other than terror will be on the table.
We achieved, the goals which we set out to do by destroying the terrorist infrastructure in Bahawalpur, Murid ke